The Black Plague was one of the most devastating events in human history. It resulted in millions of deaths and changed the course of European history. In this video, where we go over many topics about the Black Death, including its biology and origin, we will also be worrying the spread and legacy of how one-time bacteria changed the world.
The Black Plague is a disease caused by the bacteria Yersinia pestis. Yersinia pestis disables the flea from draining blood from rats, causing it to starve. The flea then jumps off the rat and onto humans due to starvation. The flea bites the human, but Yersinia pestis disables it from drinking blood and instead causes it to throw up into its victim, thus spreading the plague to the human. Yersinia pestis can overtake the human body in the first hour and can go up to 6 days later. The Black Plague affects the body's lymph nodes, which are part of the lymph system. Death can occur 1 hour up to 6 days. The infected person will start experiencing flu-like symptoms such as headache, weakness, chills, and fever. Other symptoms of the disease are abdominal pain, shock, and swollen lymph glands. The swollen lymph glands are called buboes, which is why it is also called the bubonic plague.
The Black Death began in Asia and slowly migrated over land and sea and overtook Europe in 1337. From Central Asia, it spread to the Genoese port city of Kaffa on the Black Sea. The story is that Mongol invaders threw dead bodies over the wall of the city in an attempt to infect the population. Their plan worked, but also backfired at the same time. The plague killed off a majority of the city's population, but also killed the men who were throwing the bodies onto the trebuchets. The remainder of Kaffa's population sailed to Sicily in an attempt to save themselves. Rats that were on the ship that were infected killed 2/3 of the crew members. When the ships landed in the sea, the rats and the dead bodies infected the population. The disease then spread rapidly to many areas through land and sea trade. Some sources say that the disease traveled 2.5 miles a day on land. By the year 1438, Florence, Paris, and London were already infected. There are 3 types of the Black Death: the bubonic version, the pneumonic plague, and the septemic plague. The bubonic plague was spread by fleas, and usual symptoms were large boils in the bite location that leaked blood and pus. Victims usually died on the 2nd or 3rd day, and the cause of their death was uncontrollable bleeding from all over their bodies. This is because the bubonic version disabled blood from clotting. The mortality rate began at 75%, but increased to 100% in 1348. The pneumonic plague was spread to humans by coughing, sneezing, or any way that it could enter the lungs. It caused the lungs to liquefy, then caused people to cough up their liquefied lungs, usually as massive chunks in blood that they coughed up. The mortality rate was 95%. The septemic plague was caused by the plague entering the bloodstream, but was more rare. People inflicted with this experienced the normal symptoms of the plague. The death rate was 100%, so pretty much if you got it, you're screwed. All three types of the plague. All three types of the plague had the same symptoms. The disease started killing hundreds of people a day in major cities. Some cities reported that they had to bury over 600 dead bodies in one day. Because there were so many deaths, the cities could not bury each person individually. Instead, they resorted to mass graves, which could have contained thousands of bodies. People tried many ways to save and prevent themselves from getting the plague. These attempts included abstaining from sex, amputations to the inflicted parts, burning the boils on their bodies from the bite marks, as well as burning dead bodies and bloodletting.
Now let's go to the thought bubble to explain the ending and legacy of the Black Death. Although how the disease was eradicated is not entirely known, historians have many ideas of how they got rid of it. Infected people were quarantined and left to die. Many people migrated to places without the plague. Riots became common and caused fires that destroyed villages in France and Germany. After the plague, people started practicing ways of personal hygiene that were not used before. In the end, 75% of the people in Italy were dead, and about 25 million people died in total. After the plague ended, the economy crashed and there was huge inflation. Not many serfs were left to work the farms, so the remaining serfs were paid more to work. Because of this, the average standard of living in Europe rose. Feudalism ended soon after because the serfs now had money to buy their own land. The church also took a huge hit. Its promises to heal the sick did not work, which caused many people to lose faith in the church. Afterwards, the new priests that were brought in to replace the old ones only accepted the role for personal gain. This resulted in corruption in the church. The Black Death was the biggest outbreak of the disease, but it never went away completely. There have been multiple outbreaks since then, but as a result of antibiotics and better living conditions, it is extremely rare for a person to be infected by the disease.
One fact about the Black Death is that it not only killed humans, but it also killed many domesticated animals such as cows, sheep, chickens, pigs, and goats. So many sheep died during the Black Death that it was called the European wool shortage. Another fun fact about the Black Death is some of the ways they tried to prevent or get rid of the disease. People tried eating in moderation, not abusing poor people, not eating fruits, drinking good wine, avoiding lustful behavior, and staying happy.